Welcome back to the Big Game License Basics video series. Last time we discussed the two types of licenses in Colorado, game management units and hunt codes. This time we're going to dive into the draw process. So Brian, do you want to discuss the draw process and how individuals can kind of begin that application process?
You bet. So the draw process, it can be a little bit complex. Once you understand how it flows, it makes it a lot easier to choose your hunt codes, figure out where you have the best chances of drawing. So starting out through the big game draw, and the primary draw, the secondary draw, you're going to apply for a single species at a time. So you start with a deer, or you start with elk, or pronghorn, or bear. Whatever you're applying for, you apply for a species at a time. Now if you draw one of your hunt codes that you put in, you're done with a draw. You're only going to get one of these limited licenses through the primary draw. You can still get another license through the secondary draw. We're going to talk in another video about List A, List B, List C licenses and how you get multiple licenses per species. So when we put in for the draw, and again, starting with a primary draw, that's the best place to get a quality hunting license, right? There's a lot of hunters that are trying to get into some of the premier game management units in the state. When we talk about these premier game management units or high quality game management units, these are managed in a way where there's a limited number, there's a small quota of licenses, but there's a lot more animals on the landscape. And so the chances for harvest go up, and a lot of hunters maybe have opportunities to maybe pick the kind of animal that they want to harvest. So these hunt codes, they may take 20 or 25 or it could be even more years to draw. They use a system called preference points. Every year that you do not draw your first choice of the primary draw, you gain a preference point, and that helps you hopefully in the next year to secure that special license or that hunt code. There's a lot of these hunt codes that don't take any preference points, right? Or maybe they take one or two preference points. Each hunter kind of has to figure out what kind of a hunt do they want, how do they want to set up, where do they want to go, how many years do they want to wait. So in this draw, the primary draw, every hunter has the opportunity to enter 4 hunt codes, 4 choices. Those choices correspond to 4 different rounds of drawing. And for every hunt code, there's going to be that quota, right? The limited number of licenses. Out of that quota of licenses, there's going to be a certain percentage of licenses that might go for youth preference, especially the non-antlered opportunities. There's going to be some licenses that go to some landowner opportunities as well.
So Brian, with the draw, we have 4 rounds in the draw. Can you kind of dive into how that draw unfolds?
Certainly. So you have 4 choices. Hunters enter a hunt code into each of those choices. The draw process goes through and it looks at all the hunters that put, let's just pick a hypothetical hunt code. This hunt code, when it gets to that hunt code in the draw process, it looks at every hunter that entered that for their first choice, all right? If there are more licenses than the hunters that entered that hunt code for their first choice, that means there's a surplus, right? There's a quota of licenses, there's a surplus. We didn't get rid of them in the first round. So now those surplus licenses go into the second round. And what they're looking at is all of the hunters that put that same hunt code down for the second choice. Now, if a hunter had already drawn their first choice and they had their hunt code for the second, they're not in the draw anymore, right? Because you only get one license. And they'll go through the sequence, first, second, third, fourth choice. If after the second draw round, there's still surplus available for a hunt code, that means that those licenses available for that hunt code go to the third round of drawing. So any hunter that puts that hunt code down for their third choice have that opportunity to draw. And that works that way into the fourth round. If there's still surplus, like we talked about before, there's still surplus out of the primary draw, they move on to the secondary draw. The secondary draw progresses very similar. It goes through step by step by step. You enter choices and you have the opportunity to draw in different rounds.
So Brian, sometimes hunters will be unsuccessful in drawing a certain hunt code, and later we'll see that hunt code on the leftover list. Can you describe some situations on how and why that would occur?
Yeah. So when we apply in the primary draw, the secondary draw, right, like the deadline for the primary draw is early April. Sometimes these hunters are applying, but they don't know if they're gonna be able to go hunt. Maybe their plans change, or they don't have enough time. For whatever reason, they turn that license in. CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, we wanna get those licenses back into the hands of hunters. For any of those hunt codes that take 6 or more preference points, we have our licensing folks try and reach out to the next people that would have drawn those licenses out of the draw. However, if we can't contact them, they go into what we call the reissue list. The reissue list is available, similar to the leftover list as well. It'll open up on a certain day of the week, and a lot of hunters are looking for that, right? Like it could be a quality hunt code, a real quality hunt opportunity, and there may be 300 hunters that are online waiting for the time, and they all are ready to go to hit their button, and that license could be gone in milliseconds, and everyone's wondering what's going on. So it's something to keep in mind. There could be some really good hunt codes that come out in the reissue list. Again, when you see those, if you apply, you didn't get them in the primary draw, it's because another hunter was awarded those licenses through one of the draws. They couldn't go, they turned them into CPW. Now we're just trying to get them out to the public again.
So in this video, we covered the primary draw and preference points. Join us next time as we continue to do these videos. We'll be covering group applications, youth preference. We're also going to get into the secondary draw, resources, building a multi-year plan. So stay tuned and join us next time.